Greetings. Greetings, Twitter. I wanted to take this opportunity to say hello and to, talk about the news of the day. As you know, today has been a very historic day in many regards, primarily because Donald Trump, our former United States president, was formally arrested and arraigned, and read the charges in the indictment that was handed down by the grand jury last week. And it's pretty, I don't know what word to describe it, but the case seems to be pretty basic, but pretty complex at the same time. And the reason I say it is because it's basically 34 charges of falsifying documents. Now, if you remember, a while back, the Trump organization was investigated, and Alan Weisselberg was also indicted at that time for the same scenario. So, and all eyes were looking at to see if President Trump was going to be next in line. However, at the time, what was said was that they chose not to indict him or not to investigate him, but they had not publicly given a reason why, at least not openly, from what I understood, because I had not seen anything in the news at the time. But today, I heard in one of the news reports that part of the thing was that the then DA at the time, Cy Vance, was told to stand down because there was a pending federal investigation against President Trump. And they did not want them to interfere because I guess they were thinking about bringing charges. Well, suffice it to say, they didn't bring charges, and all they did was interfere with the DA in New York. So that when this new DA came in, Mr. Alvin Bragg, he picked up where Vance left off and said, okay, well, basically, this is my paraphrase in a nutshell. They said, okay, the federal government didn't do anything. We're going to pick up the slack and pick up where we left off. Hence the reason they did the continued investigation, presented it to the grand jury, and let the grand jury vote to decide to indict. That's where this came out. I had a chance to read the indictment. As I said, it's 34 charges. They're all the same violation type, but it's one charge per violation or for falsification that he did. So he falsified 34 entries in his journal of finances, and because of that, that's one charge per violation. As it stands, the case kind of looks flimsy, but we haven't seen a statement of facts. Evidence has not been presented yet. It hasn't gone to trial. It's going to be a wait and see scenario because we need to wait and see exactly what evidence is going to be presented. Now, you got to keep in mind, part of the evidence that they're going to have is going to be evidence more than likely from the previous investigation that they did against Alan Weisselberg. So if that's the case, then they're going to have all this evidence to support the charges, plus any evidence that they've uncovered recently or over time since then, which is probably going to be testimony from Michael Cohen, testimony from Mr. Pecker, and I don't know what other evidence they would have, but they must have sufficient evidence with which to formally charge him. Now, a lot of conservatives are saying, well, this is D.A. Bragg interfering with a federal election, or with a candidate that is running for political office for the presidency, and they're thinking that it's basically political interference. But you gotta look at the whole panorama of this scenario, and keep in mind when this investigation initially started, Trump was president, and the Trump organization was being investigated for tax fraud, and it was on the basis of these hush money payments that Cohen paid to Stormy Daniels. Well, you got to understand, DA Cy Vance back then was told to stand down. I mentioned this earlier. He was told to stand down because the feds were doing an investigation. Feds under the Trump administration, which is a conservative Republican presidential administration. Let's ask ourselves this question: why did the feds back then decide not to prosecute? Very interesting question. There could be a number of reasons. One, they chose not to do it because it was Trump. He was the president. He was the top of the Republican Party, and they did not want to. They did not want to prosecute one of their own. It's a clear possibility. Or the fact, and this is something that also we need to consider, that at the time of these investigations, Trump was in president and in office. And as a president in office, he is immune to any criminal charges until such time he leaves the presidency. Okay? That's probably the reason why no charges were ever filed against Donald Trump at that time, because he was acting president, or he was elected president of the United States. He was in office, and for that reason alone, they couldn't do anything. So now the thing is, Biden is president now. Trump left office accordingly, and now that there is a new DA in New York, he's picking up where his predecessor left off. Okay, so that's the reason things have moved the way they have. But to those that say, well, this is a political interference with DA Brad, there is more political interference here than meets the eye, because if you go looking back, there was political interference when the federal authorities refused to prosecute Trump while he was in office. So the shoe is on the other foot. So now we have to wait and see how this process is going to go out. The next hearing is December 4th. We're going to have to wait and see what motions are put in, what the judge decides, and go from there. In the meantime, we wait and see what President Trump says. Wait and see what District Attorney Alvin Bragg or his lead attorneys decide to do, or what the judge in this case will decide to do. Looking at this case from an open and neutral perspective, I don't see anything political about it. Like I said, the only politics that I see in it, I see two sets of political interference. The interference that was used to delay or to prohibit the prosecution, of Donald Trump while he was president, and the political interference that the Republicans are saying now that DA Alvin Bragg is doing by prosecuting this case now. So there's political interference on both sides of the spectrum, and the evidence is clear. The facts are clear in that respect. So This is the legal system running its course. We'll have to wait and see what happens. That was my take on it. I just thought I'd talk about it, and if any further developments occur, well, we'll deal with them when we cross those bridges and see if anything interesting comes out of this case between now and December 4th. Thank you. Have a good evening. And I may come back online shortly. I may come back online later this week. I don't know. It's Easter week. I got Easter coming this Sunday, so I'm a little bit busy during this week. But hopefully from Monday on of next week, I should be back to a normal schedule as far as live streaming and posting comments. But in the meantime, I'll see you the next time that I'm live. Thank you very, very much.